you to keep this going. Okay. So today I'm here to talk to you about intelligent edge. And the talk is going to be more about um, where we are today. What is it that we should be expecting in the future, right? What is it that's exciting, and why is it exciting to you, to me, and why is it exciting? Why should it be exciting to you? And what's in store for us as technical community, as product developers, and especially coming to narrate the importance of DVCon, right? The products, what type of products are coming of age? What is the demand that is needed from our user space, from payloads, workloads, ever changing world out there, right? And give you an example of how things are changing, and then relate to what are the product demands and how validation needs to start having a paradigm shift to meet and beat the expectations of the products of tomorrow, right? And I'll leave you with the way forward, food for thought, with some just a few things that I'd like to leave you with as part of the key takeaways, right? With that, let me get on to first the legal disclaimer. I work for Intel, and I'll just wait for 10, 15 seconds for you all to just go through this and make yourselves aware of this disclaimer, please. Okay, with that, let me get on to this slide. So I want to start off saying that world is becoming digital. But what does it really mean? What it really means is today we are living in the world wherein I would still say it's a lot more primitive than what we should be expecting in the future, right? Today we're living in the world wherein we are going through a huge paradigm shift that I would say the human race has never seen before, right? We are living in the world of today where it's dynamically changing, and thanks to COVID, some of these things are getting accelerated, right? So what does it mean? So what does it mean is, what does it mean in terms of world is becoming digital? There are these, let's consider this picture in front of us. This is, I know which city is it? It's a city. And here, if you look at all these blobs that I have here, it really brings out what we are heading to into the future. Let's start with smart cities. Okay, smart cities means what? It is 5G connectivity. You got this your video and security surveillance going. It's just not video and security. Today you have video and security, but it's smart video, smart security, real-time analytics in predicting who is who. And of course, if it's used the wrong way, unethical, then it's got other connotations. But for now, for this session, let's assume that it's used for ethical purposes only, right? Then your children going to school, it's not just going to school. They will be going to a smart classroom, right? The industry area is going to completely revolutionize, and it's happening as we speak. We've got robotics in our fabs today, right? We've got pretty much no humans entering the fabs, all being operated by robots, right? But this is getting even smarter. It's just not robots operating in a localized factory. These robots are going to be talking, learning, inferring, and connecting to the world out there, right? Virtual shopping, right? That pretty much, if not all, most of us know what it means thanks to COVID, right? I myself was never an Amazon shopper. I really love to go to a store, have the touch and feel. But I mean, I'm getting used to virtual shopping because of all these technological advances. I mean, and more is coming thanks to AR, VR on that, right? Smart buildings. I mean, I'll give you a case in point about what a smart building is, but hold on to that. smart advertising, self-driving cars, there's ADAS. I mean, by 2023, robo taxis are going to be going to be commercially deployed in US. I think starting from Bay Area, if you're not mistaken, right? Wearable devices already exist, but these wearable devices again are localized. But now these wearable devices are going to get more connected, right? So pretty much, and of course there's drones, and we've heard enough of drones in terms of the military warfare to how it can be used in weddings to, it's got huge amount of applications. But all these are working pretty much, I would say, in their localized zones, right? These are devices that they are working, they are, but now going forward, these are all going to be connected, right? The need to connect these, the need to get them to work seamlessly, the need to, provide a seamless human to machine interface, a machine to human interface, a machine to machine interface. Pretty much from the time you wake up to the time you go back to bed, you're connected, right? Not only you are connected, everything around you, everything is connected to everything. That is the future for us, right? So with that as the introduction, let me tell you what is happening. In short, there is a convergence of technology that's happening. And friends, let me tell you this. It's happening at an all-time high, right? We have never seen this before. I'm sure, some of you or most of you would have gone through some revolution or the other. But one that I can relate to was I have gone through the internet. I mean, when I was in college, I didn't have email to write to. I used to write postcards. My sister even today opened the postcard and says, "Hey, look, you've written me." That was fun times, right? It's still cool. Right from that time where there was no emails, right, to getting an email, to getting a web, to getting an internet, Web 1.0, Web 2.0, seeing the mobile revolution, right? All this has happened, are happening. But what I'm trying to get across to all of you is this. This technology convergence that we're talking is much, much beyond what we have seen in our past, in our lifetime till today, right? It's a hyper-connected world, right? It is going to be an even more hyper-connected world, the machine to machine, humans to machine, machine to humans. There is going to be an exponential growth. I mean, you can just dig up to any data or look up any journals. I mean, these numbers, I'm saying is a lot more conservative, right? In terms of connected device, 75 billion by 2025. I mean, people are talking about 150 billion, right? Data, it's 175 zettabytes by 2025, right? Even these numbers are going to be put to test, and maybe I'm by 2025 these numbers what I'm quoting may go even beyond. Then there is the virtuous cycle of smart technologies and use cases. I'm going to be talking more about this, so I won't spend time here. But in short, what is happening is it's one driving the other, right? Meaning you've got a technology, it drives the use case, but why do you get a technology? Because there's a demand. So it's propelling each other and sort of moving at a pace and creating these this connected world that like I said we have never imagined before, right? Growing demand for intelligence at the edge. I'll talk to you why this is important, right? And why this is happening, because we've had the cloud story, and we'll talk about the edge story and the importance of it. And that's where a lot of action is today. Transformation is most impactful to human race. I've already mentioned that. But in this technology convergence, my thinking is that to enable this convergence, and my belief, there is the smart concurrency. Now, one would ask, what is this, Anil? What is a smart concurrency, right? Smart concurrency is nothing but, let's take your simple mobile phone, right? Let's talk concurrency first. Concurrency is basically you have a voice, you've got your video, both coming together at the same time and synchronizing and then putting an output to the user interface to feel it's unified, it's synchronized, right? So if you have the voice and the video out of sync, guess what happens? The person will be talking, but the speech will be delayed or enhanced, and it won't be synchronized. So it's pretty much annoying, right? That's basic concurrency. Now we're looking at smart concurrency, meaning for all these devices to work seamlessly together, right? We're talking metaverse now. We're talking Web 3.2. I mean, it's immersive in nature, and for all of this to happen, these devices, these sensors, which were localized, have to be working not just together, but having to work concurrently and smartly with intelligence, with AI ML embedded in them, right? Be it the tiny ML, be it the tiny, or it could be a complete AI algorithm of at the edge servers. So whatever it is, I believe the smart concurrency is needed to enable this convergence. Okay. So let's get into what is this edge. I mean, everybody knows about cloud. Cloud is centralized. This all data streams to and fro go to cloud. There are all these advantages of cloud storage. It's not geo-specific. It is scalable, right? So there are all these good things. But having said that, what is happening is for all these devices to start working together, right? Now, these devices, let's take a simple example, right? I've got a camera, right? I've got a camera, and now the camera has to recognize the person, right? It's no biggie. It does recognize the person, but the issue is for the person to get recognized and to create or to work out the analytics, it has to go back to the cloud today, right? And come back. Now that latency is an issue, right? By the time the camera goes, figures this out, does all the search, gets in the cloud and comes back, the person has probably gone out of the store or wherever the venue is, right? You're not able to get the real-time analytics to make a decision, or make a judgment call as to what to do with the data, right? That is where edge computing comes into play. I'll give another example. Let's take your autonomous vehicle. I just talked about robot taxis, right? Now, if these are all coming in play, and every time, let's say there's a snowstorm, right? And or a heavy hailstorm in Bangalore, it's raining heavily these days, right? So in such a condition, maybe it doesn't get the access to go to the cloud. Okay, you need some network that is, or some way for it to access to a network that's local around it, that has a better uh, you know um, uh, better bandwidth, better throughput, faster throughput, and an access to get to this servers. And that's where the edge computing model comes into place. Basically, what you're trying to do here is this: you're moving the computing closer to where the source of the data is. And the source of the data is coming from pretty much humans, right? Where humans are dealing with, right? So that is causing the edge to come in vogue. That is causing a lot of excitement in the industry today. And it's not just going to be edge. There's an AI enabled edge called the intelligent edge that is shaping up as we speak today. And the advantages of that is the latency, the bandwidth, and security. Even though you've got this diverse devices with the edge, when you're playing with the edge, you've got an avenue to work on the security, right? And secure the data that you're looking at on the localized set of devices. Now, I compare this whole cloud and edge simply to be like a WAN and a LAN, right? Just if you think about it, right? We are, at least I'm used to the networking concepts of the past, right? So you've got the wireless access network, but you still need the local area network. And for a long time, and even to this day, the last mile was a big problem. And thanks to fiber and other technologies, we have addressed that. The edge computing model is not going to be replacing the cloud. It is actually going to complement the cloud and further propel and accelerate what we're going to be calling as everything is going to be connected to everything, right? So that is what I wanted to talk to you about edge and introduce this edge concept to all of you here, so that this leads into the next one. What is this edge we're talking about? So I talked about edge versus cloud, but this is the edge. It goes from all the way from devices, things, to pretty much on the edge of the cloud, right? Wherein we have the multi-access edge computing, where it moves the traffic from the cloud, right, to the edge of the network, right? So pretty much the reason you want to do that is pretty much this. The primary reason is this latency expectation, right? So when you're dealing with the device things, it's roughly around less than 1 millisecond. And when you get into cloud, if you have like a latency of 100 millisecond for data to go one way, so which means that two-way traffic, a round trip will cost you about 200 milliseconds approximately, right? And the cloud. So you want faster access, right? And you need a better security. You need a high connectivity and a reliable one. So this, I just wanted to give you folks the spectrum of how the edge is and what is the scope of edge that we're looking at, right? Now, with that said, let me get into a little bit more zone into the edge. So within edge, there is a convergence of 5G and AI that's happening. Okay. Now, this convergence is going to change the way we are going to live our lives, folks. Trust me on this, right? I mean, today, I actually, my father, who's around 87 years old, he's got difficulty in working his smartphone. Pretty much, he's got I would say, decent enough understanding of how to work it, including looking at his WhatsApp messages. But folks, today I'm 51, right? I need to be getting ready for the paradigm shift of change that is going to happen to us in just the way we live, in every walk of our life. It's not just going to happen like only in smartphone, right? Here we're talking about education. Here we're talking about dealing with governments. Here we're talking about finance. Here we're talking about once you walk into a store, it's not going to be your same old retail store, right? I've got a case in point. I'll share that with you a little bit more. Transport, I've already talked to you. You're gonna have this ADAS technology super matured, right? It's all going to be autonomous, right? Wherein you'll have a lot of these sensors in your cars that are going to be actually talking, connecting up to the networks, and figuring out how to work, communicate between car to car. On a lighter note, maybe the insurance companies are going to go out of business for all you know, because the accidents are going to be, pretty much minimum or to none, right? So then, of course, smart homes is already an old concept, right? I mean, people, even in India, you've got all these refrigerators getting into like the TVs, and it's not fully there, but things are happening as we speak. So what we're looking at is this, folks. So the convergence of 5G and AI, right? It is going to sort of around 2025 is we expect that to really grow exponentially, right? And thanks to this convergence of 5G and AI, right? And the opportunity is about $17 trillion market, around roughly in 2035. Again, this is I'm saying this is conservative because it's going to probably shoot up in even more than that. Okay, so I hope this gives you an understanding with the data to say what we're looking at in terms of the future of the technology revolution, the products that are going to be coming in place, the type of payloads that we're going to be looking at, and just remember the 75 zettabytes is expected in 2025, but I already know I've been reading other articles which also talks about 150 zettabytes, right? So the numbers are all over the place, but at least the message I want to leave you with, it's huge. the opportunity is huge, the excitement is huge, and thanks, at least I'm very thankful that I'm living in this time frame, to be part of this change, and to be able to contribute to this in this whole paradigm shift. Like I promised you, I wanted to share with you a case in point, which is just to illustrate uh, uh, a consumer journey in a retail store, and also to share with you about the smart concurrency. So if you were to, walk in to tomorrow's smart retail store, let's use that, right? You would probably come in with an ADAS, autonomous driving car, right? I mean, Tesla is already having that right now, but I don't know if they're very comfortable to use it yet, or I mean, but sure, it's already there with us. Online order pickup, it's no biggie, right? And then once you enter the store, you've got all this service robots, smart shelves. Smart shelves, I've seen this in Walmarts in US, and I'm not sure in India, but definitely I've seen that in US. Um, then virtual try-on using AR, VR. I love this, right? It's really cool stuff that you can use your augmented reality to just check out without having to open up, uh, and then get into a trial room and do all that stuff. Digital advertisement in the shops. Currently, I don't know if you've observed, but when you go into these big retail stores, or even the small ones, even the 7-Elevens, or they actually put all these. They make you walk through these aisles purposefully, so that they are displaying products so that it can attract you. But here we're talking about not physical products, but digital advertisement that's going to revolutionize the advertisement world. Then you've got the smart fitting room, the RFID enabled. And then, of course, I talked to you about this, the vision supported technologies, wherein it's just not cameras out there for surveillance, but it's more for giving you analytics. Has a criminal walked into the store? Is there a record of that person? And if there is, can we take real-time action rather than you capture the picture, then tell the cops and give the recording to your cops, and they go figure out. This is all going to be happening real time, right? So all this, for it to come together, right? Again, you needed to concurrently work together, synchronously, seamlessly work together, and you need to have the smarts in all of this, and all of this applications, devices will have the smarts, right? Without smarts, it's not going to make it happen. You can't expect a robot to just be a robot and be programmed all the time. It's going to be a self-learning robot, inference, training, all that is happening on the fly, right? So this is a case in point. Hope I've been able to impress on you with this example of how the future is changing, and what we should expect. Going on to the next one, I told you about this virtuous cycle, right? So let me spend a couple of minutes here. This is something I truly believe in, right? That this is what is happening to us as we speak. There are these technologies that exist, and I'll go back to the same example, right? We've had this wherein we saw this smartphone. I mean, we had the mobile phone, then we got into smartphone. Even before that, landlines to mobile brick phone, mobile phone to smartphones, right? We saw that, and this and we saw this sort of maturing over time, right? Now what we're talking about is we have internet, right? We've got this internet, and we've got web 1.0 now. Then thanks to like web 2.0, we got to use Google Maps, right? Seamlessly, and thanks to that, now there's the web 3.0, right? I mean, it's still hard to say what it's going to be about, but there's all these concepts like metaverse coming into play, right? Now, why all this metaverse? I mean, I've seen this metaverse like concept in Matrix, right? Wherein it's marrying or bridging or bringing the physical world seamlessly into the virtual world, right? And making it look seamless in terms of how today if I have to use my AR VR, I've got to have those big goggles and then wear it. It's a little cumbersome, but it has to be natural. It has to be immersive. So all this is happening, right? And this is the part of the virtuous cycle, meaning currently there is the consumer needs. Those consumer needs drives these use cases or the payloads and this realization of use cases. Then you create new technology to address that. But once you create new technology, right, like 5G, IoT, robotics, accelerators, then it gives rise to new opportunities. It gives access to new opportunities. And then again, with these new opportunities, then again, the consumer demand changes and it increases, and so this becomes a virtuous cycle wherein one propels the other, and it's like a bootstrapping mechanism. You pull one lace, the other lace goes down, but you pull the other lace. You keep pulling each other up, and over time, what you see is the technologies start becoming smarter, smarter, smarter to achieve we are expecting it to the next big transformation in metaverse or Web 3.0. Okay, so this is something that's important, and why this is important is because the product development needs are also changing as we speak, right? And what is the changes that are happening, right? It demands high intense compute, right? It demands faster data processing. I talked about zettabytes, right? I mean, you can't use our current ways of our CPUs or just CPUs alone. You've got to have accelerators. You can't maybe have just accelerators. You've got a sea of accelerators, right? Then we already know about big data. And now, if that was not sufficient, power is very, very important, right? We can't just plug it into a socket, and because it's going to be a sea and ocean of all these servers, both at the edge and the cloud, you're going to be having big hulking power to manage, right? So power management becomes definitely important. And all of this, one thing will still continue to be there, and in fact, even more, is the highest quality and reliability with zero tolerance to failure. And folks, that is where we are in terms of needing to create the paradigm shift in validation. And the reason I've narrated this backdrop, the reason I've narrated this future, the reason this excitement I wanted to share with you is because this conference in DVCon is the conference that I am hoping, betting, that will shape up to drive newer concepts of validation to address this product development needs. Okay. With that said, I just wanted to give you my 2 cents on the traditional validation versus what's needed to the future. I won't spend time on the traditional validation because I'm assuming you're all the experts and that's why we are here. What I wanted to really spend time is what is this paradigm shift validation I'm asking here from this conference or from this esteemed body of intellectuals who have assembled here, right? We need to have, when products out there are becoming smarter, we need to have intelligent ways of doing our validation methodologies. The old ways of functional validation, targeted random, test cases, seeding a random and hoping, we get it. I mean, that got us to some place to where we are, but going forward in terms of the compute, in terms of the processors, in terms of the ocean of processing, what do you call this? Combination of process coming together, integration of process, that's what I'm using. For that complexity, we need intelligent test selection, improved coverage, adaptive regression, and runtime protection. Again, not all of these concepts are just limited to this. I'm just throwing out some food for thought, and I'm sure for you guys to debate and work even more than this. The quick error detection for scalability, that helps in cost and time to market. We at Intel and my team, we have been driving this with Stanford, and the Python models is another area for validation to really improve, I believe. The software-driven hardware development, I think in the past, it has been co-development. In the past, it has been like, hey, I'll write test benches and create hardware first, and then software will worry about it later types. But now we have to go from a software-driven hardware development, right? I think the payloads, the use cases are going to dictate how this hardware has to be tested. I mean, we have to figure out all these corner cases. Remember, if all these devices out there on the edge have to work seamlessly, we need to have zero tolerance for failure, right? Which means what? We need to make sure we can't afford, hey, that was a corner case. Hey, it went past, we got this issue. No, we are going to have serious consequences, right? So we have to go from a top-down approach. Then last, I want to leave you with this end-to-end product validation. When we are talking about, and this is something that I'm doing it within my teams also, when we are talking about like getting an ASIC out or getting a SoC out for validation, it's just not enough to think about the validation with respect to that IP or that interfaces. We got to go back and think about what is the landing zone, what is it, where is the customer going to be using it, have we checked out all the use cases, right? We need to have that end-to-end product validation methodologies, and these have to be smart. These have to be intelligent to make sure we cope up to the expectation of tomorrow's products. With that, okay, I want to leave you with a few points of how I see going forward. One, edge is the new cloud. Again, it is not to say edge is replacing cloud. Edge is complementing cloud, like how I gave you the concept of WAN and LAN, right? You need LAN to really complement WAN. Likewise, edge is now shaping up to complement the cloud. 1000x compute and data, no brainer. Maybe I'm underestimating it, but it's some number to depict compute and data. Both are increasing exponentially. And I told you why it is increasing, right? Because of all the technology convergence and also the 5G and AI coming together within the edge system, a scope of edge. Era of smart concurrency. So I gave you those examples. I truly believe this is the era of smart concurrency, not just concurrency, but smart concurrency. And for all of this, folks, the validation paradigm shift is needed. It's really, if you have not already woken up, we have to now, okay? And to do all of this, smart validation is the key to get us there, okay? With that, I'd like to leave you with this. I really love this quote. With all this dynamic changes that are happening, right? I could either watch it happen or be part of it. Love this quote from Elon Musk. And with this, I'll stop here. Over back to you, Shreya. Thank you.
Thank you, Anil, for sharing your vision. A request to the audience, please use the Q&A in the platform, the Q&A button in the platform to send us questions that you would like to ask Anil. But before we go on to any questions, I think we'd like to play back the DVCon theme video because it aligns a lot with this smart cities vision that you have shared with us, Anil. So if I can request for that video, please. Thank you. Maybe one question to you, Anil. Um, so you talked about your father being able to use WhatsApp, and I know my parents are very active on social media now. The kids are gaming, connecting to servers, God knows where. So with all this talk of connectivity and moving to the edge, where do you think security goes? What is the impact you see on security?
Very good question. But before that, Shreya, I'd like to clarify one point. I just talked to you about my dad, but I didn't talk to you about my children. They tell me I don't know anything. So, so anyway, so yeah, security. Security is something very important, right? I mean, it's getting to a point wherein security was just one of the features in our products in the past, but now security is an integral part of a product development, right? Because if you look at what's happening with Facebook or Google, I mean, the talk with governments, even with India, is about security, about how secure your data is, right? And when we are looking at connecting these devices and these devices seamlessly working, we have to make sure these devices are secure. The transmission of the data is secure, right? Because if not, it leads to another big issue in the society, right? With all the data becoming, compromised, right? And it could lead to multiple different issues. So, and in the heart of it, this product development requires security as one of the integral part, like how you would focus on your processor or performance or power that I talked to you about. Security is that much or even more focus that has to be given in a product development. Shreya.
Thank you, Anil. Another question. Uh, in view of the smart convergence that you're speaking of, is it driving chip companies to become system companies or system companies owning custom designs? Which way do you think things are going?
Um, Very good question. I think definitely we at Intel uh, believe that you can't just be a component or a, a device company anymore, right? Because you need to, like I said, you need to go from top down. You need to understand the platform. You need to understand the system. You need to know your customer's customer to design your products. You need to understand what are their problems and bring it back. And to doing all of that, you have to understand systems. There's no way that you can just design a product. Gone are the years wherein here's the processor, go figure what you want to do. I mean, that's an yesterday's thought process. Today, we have to, our solutions at Intel are going to be more platform-based solutions, right? We want to make sure that we want to be there as an end-to-end product offering for our customers, because that's the need of the hour, right? So I truly believe in that is one direction. Now, having said that, there is going to be some amount of so-called these Googles, Microsofts, and Apples who got this already the system approach, but also having the need to develop specific targeted applications, and it could be very confidential, proprietary, whatever, that they need to have some development of their own, and that's what we are seeing in industry, is what I believe.
Thank you, Anil. Uh, one last question. Uh, Considering the paradigm shift in validation that you talked about, and the fact that we have to do so many new things, check use cases, think about yeah, all the use cases, and that too with uh, zero failure, and design cycles are shrinking on the other side. So how do you think the EDA tools are evolving to meet that goal in terms of doing the best we can in terms of quality in the shortest time, and yet addressing everything?
No, again, a very good question. I'll be very honest and candid here. I don't believe the EDA companies are matching up to what I want from them in terms of the pace at which they need to be offering these smart validation methodologies, right? I want the EDA companies to, it's more like a demand from my side, right? As a product development lead, I want the EDA companies to think of providing us a lot more smarter methodologies. And I'm ready to team up. I'm ready to work with them. I'm ready to even, in fact, I just give you an example. Today I'm working with Stanford, right? Today I'm working multiple IITs to understand what are my key problem statements, especially in the validation area. One being formal, right? High level synthesis is another promise that is yet to come. I mean, yet to really explode. And I just talked to you about the AI, the smartness that we have to put in terms of bug detection. I'm not worried about the common, the 80%. I'm worried more about the 10% bugs, that takes us, the 3 months time to debug, right? And I also want to focus on the post silicon validation, wherein I want to get that validation post silicon coming into pre silicon. I really want to see how I can. My goal is to make sure that post silicon validation should be slam dunk. That is my goal, right? Having to target zero silicon bugs post silicon, right? And that is the extent I want to have the pre silicon validation beefed up, which today I'm not there yet.
Thank you, Anil. I think we have a large number of EDA representatives from EDA companies.
They may not like me with this answer, but
so the word goes out to them.
okay.
Thank you.